Well, this is going to be a little different. I'm starting this one with the notes on the behind the scenes weirdness. First off, is that this would have originally been the episode where they did the reveal about warp travel being hazardous to the stability of space, and how warp travel was causing space rifts and blah 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 blah. Which is something that is a plot idea they did use in the seventh season episode, and afterwards completely ignored in perpetuity. Yeah, why? I don't know. They just didn't. Mm. To be honest, it was one of those things where it feels like a big deal in the episode, and then you realize that they're just going to hand wave the whole thing. Well. Anyways, because like that's actually a big thing with that particular one is that the weird twist at the end of the episode that undermines the entire point of the episode is that it's only actually a danger in shall we say heavily traveled uh regions of space, and if the travel density is low enough, it really is no problem at all. The location that the space rifts happened was because space in that region is abnormally thin and predisposed to having subspace ruptures form. Anyway, enough about that. That's a different episode I'll get to later. Oh yeah, this is another thing is that there's some continuity weirdness. It's like one, the reason for the so-called ethics violation in this episode is that Rega's family does not want him to have an autopsy, and Dr. Crusher does an autopsy anyways against the family's wishes. And Picard's like, "How dare you violate ethics and stuff? You can't be a medical doctor if you're willing to ignore ethics like that," and relieves her of duty. Which, okay, except, um, why? At no point in the episode is it explained why Rega's family wanted to avoid having an autopsy done. It's like his family doesn't care how he died. Kind of strange, you know? And also, at this point in the development of the fictional setting, it had not been established what Ferengi death customs were. And this episode is written under the assumption, perhaps feigned, that the Ferengi have some thing about burying people intact and not, cutting them open to figure out why they died before burying them. Which is incredibly plot convenient. So incredibly plot convenient that if I was to write this in a TTRPG, I would make it fake. And that the bad guy somehow is tricking you into thinking the family wants that when they really don't. Because it's just that absurdly plot convenient that it feels um out of character, quite frankly. It's like, why would his family do that? Anyway, another thing is that the metaphasic shield concept that Reagan developed later gets used by the Federation a lot. That's an interesting thing about this, though, is that the technology for the metaphasic shield created by Rega Well, one, Rega's not the sole source of metaphasic shield ideas. Two, Rega's version of metaphasic shields is not actually that good. The crew of the Enterprise improved the idea rather dramatically, actually. His original one was barely functional. And three, the Federation later started using it as standard equipment on starships. Okay, sure. That, hmm, yeah, I don't know of any reason why Rega would have sold the idea to the Federation. It's like they reverse engineered it and, you know, I'm not going to say they stole it, but they acquired it. Anyways, anyway, moving on. The metaphysics shield thing, interesting thing. One interesting quirk with Star Trek is that there's multiple different kinds of special shielding that's not the normal starship shields. And metaphasic shielding, while an interesting one, you could make up your own weird variant of shielding for your version of whatever you're doing. Heck, you could do a plot like this that doesn't involve shielding technology and have some other kind of experimental technology as the thing. Like, hey, an experimental drive type that, works inside subspace rifts. Why not? It's Star Trek. It's actually been done before, shockingly enough. The Enterprise actually did that in the Subspace Rift episode. They figured out how to travel inside subspace rifts without using a warp drive. Yeah, you could do a story with that. Anyway, the rest of the story here. Pretty classic murder mystery, honestly. A murder mystery with a Star Trek flair. You have a cast of quirky characters. A Klingon who her actual job is a warp field specialist. Like, wait, why is she here to evaluate Rega's shielding technology? Interesting. Well, my personal guess is that she kind of had nothing better to do because, she comes across in the episode as someone who is trying to prove herself. She doesn't have the respect that she feels that she has earned and is trying to find a way to get people to show her the respect that she craves. And thus, she wanted to try to see what she could create from studying Rega's metaphasic shielding, I guess. Oh, also, it mentions here that the whole like subspace morphology thing, which is the weird phlebotinum that connects warp fields with shielding technology. Because, yeah, in Star Trek, warp fields and shielding technology both involve subspace, sort of. At least with certain kinds of shielding. Yeah, that's another quirk to do in a different episode. But like, only some kinds of shielding actually use subspace as a component of the shield. Anyway, let's look at the others. Here we have a Vulcan, also someone who's into researching ways to manipulate subspace, was interested enough in analyzing Rega's work to bring her husband with. And the two of them were going to study it together. Well, see, Tapan is supposedly like jealous of him for being someone who is going to out um awesome her or something. Yeah, that aspect of it's like no one respects Rhaegar. The whole key plot thing is that no one actually respects Rhaegar. That's the reason why he's on the Enterprise, is that he couldn't get any of the Ferengi who would you you would think that Ferengi would be willing to back his idea, but they weren't. That's the reason why he went to the Federation to do his prototype testing. Yeah, that's um, it's a plot twist with this where when you look at it, it's like oh, never mind. Anyway, let's see here. And of course, here we have Japan's husband, and of course, there's only three people to be the murder mystery suspects. It's Kurak, Japan, and Christopher. Uh, Interestingly enough, um, while the guy's named Christopher, they never explain whether that's his first name or his last name. They just call him Christopher. Anyway, so they put it on board the Justman, which pretty standard Type 6 shuttlecraft, modified to have a relatively weak version of a metaphasic shield, and then tested it by flying it to South Korea. The shuttle did not explode, so obviously the metaphasic shield was doing something right. Interestingly enough, no one actually dies as a result of testing the metaphasic shield. The two P, well, actually, you know what? The one guy doesn't even die at all. The only one who actually dies in the episode is Rhaegar, who gets murdered because the Takaran guy is trying to steal his work. Now, this is one of those things where, as the person writing the plot, as the person writing the plot, you are going to choose who to have as your um, bad guy and whatever. And y- Joe Brill is someone who didn't actually know Rhaegar very well. And also, there's the whole Takaran thing. Yeah, because we looked at Rhaegar here. Mm, Someone who's a smart scientist. Presumably, he's someone who had been selling scientific advancements for profit, because he's not someone who doesn't have money. He's getting funding for doing scientific research, and he's a Ferengi doing scientific research. Um, Why he didn't sell the metaphasic shield technology to another Ferengi is uncertain, but it's possible that he simply couldn't find someone who was willing to make a deal that he found to be acceptable. I have Dobro, the, as far as I know, one and only Takaran ever seen in Star Trek. As far as I know, the Takarans are not a Federation member race ever. Um, we don't know much of anything else about them. See, there's the whole alien superpower thing where he doesn't have proper internal organs. Therefore, certain injuries that would kill a human don't have the same effect on him because of the fact that he is. It's not that he's immune to injury, it's that he can shrug off some rather impressive injuries because of the fact that he doesn't have critical. internal organs to, I guess you could say, disable. Like, he doesn't have a heart, so you can't shoot him in the heart. And, well, uh, where's that picture? Yeah, one of the most amusing shots they ever did in Star Trek. Crusher shoots him with the phaser, burns a hole clean through his torso. This doesn't kill him. I'm not going to say it was a minor inconvenience. No, 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 no. It was not. Joe Brill, after having this happen to him, basically just sits down like, oh, okay, fine. I'll be nice. I'll stop trying to kill you. Yeah, this was actually quite a severe injury, non-fatal because Takaran physiology is special like that, but something serious enough that even though it's just a flesh wound, he decides he's had enough and doesn't want to get shot again. Now, presumably, multiple injuries like this would have quite a devastating toll on him. And of course, there's a whole possibility of just like fully disintegrating the entire Takaran that would presumably also kill them. Anyway, though, yeah. So, oh yeah, that's another amusing thing is that Takarans have the ability to do some sort of meditative trance that to people who aren't familiar with Takaran physiology, and Dr. Crusher isn't, and apparently can't look it up in the Federation medical databases that the Enterprise has its computers, which suggests that the Takarans are a race that has rarely interacted with the Federation. If you take a close look at this article, the only episode that is cited is Suspicions, which kind of suggests that it's basically the only episode that ever used the race. Anyway, though, and yeah. So Takarans have this whole super alien thing going on, but it's not a particular I win button. It's just an ability that's Um, useful, but not exactly amazing. Although presumably the self-induced stasis thing would allow you to, avoid eating for a week or something like that, where you can just go into a meditative trance and not get hungry for several days at a time. I mean, you're not doing anything, but whatever. Anyway, though, if you're writing an episode like this, you don't need to use Takarans. I honestly, if I was in a murder mystery type story and I saw a Takaran pop up, I would immediately wonder if the Takara is the bad guy. Because literally the only Takaran we actually saw in any Star Trek episode was a bad guy. I don't know what this says about the Takaran race as a whole, but it would be a fun subversion of that uh, direction if you have a Takaran who gets suspected of being a bad guy for being a Takaran, and then turns out that no, actually he's not. Anyway, though, that's about it for this episode. The whole murder mystery in Star Trek, murder mystery in Star Trek thing is a very cool idea. Murder mysteries as a TTRPG thing, though, there's ways you can do it and have it be fun. Just, pay attention to what the players like, and then the players will have fun with it. Anyways, see you guys later.